Ecuador isn't the first place most people think of when they plan a trip to South America, but maybe it should be. From volcanoes to ancient cities and the Amazon jungle, this country packs more into a small space than you'd ever expect. Here's why Ecuador might just be the most overlooked gem on the continent. Let's kick things off with the most famous part of Ecuador, the Galapagos Islands. Even if you've never thought about visiting Ecuador, you've definitely heard of the Galapagos. But no matter how many documentaries you've seen, nothing prepares you for actually being there. The islands feel wild and different in the best way. You're walking next to giant tortoises. Sea lions are sprawled out on benches. Marine iguanas are just sunbathing in the middle of the sidewalk. And they don't care that you're there. That's the wild part. None of the animals do. It's like humans are just part of the background. You can snorkel with reef sharks and sea turtles, or dive with hammerheads if you're into that kind of thrill. The islands themselves are volcanic and dramatic, and every one of them has its own thing going on. It's not the cheapest part of Ecuador, but it's one of the few places in the world that actually feels untouched. Next up is Quito, the capital. Quito sits high in the Andes, surrounded by green mountains and volcanoes. It's one of the highest capitals in the world, and the views are just non-stop. The city feels like it was carved right into the hillsides, with roads that wind through dramatic valleys and up steep ridges. The historic center is one of the best-preserved colonial areas in South America, but the city's not stuck in the past. Walk a few blocks, and you're in neighborhoods full of street art, rooftop bars, and local food that somehow costs less than your morning coffee back home. And here's a fun one. You can literally straddle the equator just outside the city. It's touristy, sure, but it's still cool to say you stood with one foot in each hemisphere. From Quito, it's an easy ride to Mindo, a small town tucked into the cloud forest. Mindo is all about slowing down. The air is clean, the trees are dense, and the whole town feels like it's wrapped in mist. This is one of the most biodiverse spots in the world. And it shows. You'll see hummingbirds everywhere, butterflies the size of your hand, and more types of plants than you can count. There are hiking trails through the forest, waterfalls you can swim under, zip line routes across the canopy, and river tubing for when you want something a little more fun than relaxing. And the food? Locally grown coffee, fresh chocolate straight from cacao farms, and homemade everything. It's cozy, peaceful, and just weirdly perfect. If you're flying to the Galapagos, there's a good chance you'll pass through Guayaquil. And while most people treat it as just a stopover, it's actually worth sticking around a little longer. Guayaquil is big, busy, and a little rough around the edges, but it's also full of life. Walk along the Malecon 2000, a long waterfront promenade with gardens, fountains, restaurants, and views over the Guayas River. It's where locals go to relax, and it's a great place to watch the city in motion. Then there's Las Peñas, the old neighborhood built into the hillside. It's colorful, full of narrow staircases, and packed with street art, cafes, and galleries. Climb to the top of Cerro Santa Ana for a panoramic view over the city. It's a bit of a hike, but totally worth it. Guayaquil isn't trying to be a tourist hotspot. It just is what it is. And if you spend a little time here, you'll find a side of Ecuador that feels completely different from anywhere else in the country. Now, let's talk about one of Ecuador's biggest natural icons, Cotopaxi. This volcano is massive, snow-covered, and almost perfectly shaped. It's the kind of mountain that doesn't even look real. Cotopaxi sits in a national park, and you can hike, mountain bike, or just drive up to take it all in. Wild horses roam the fields, condors glide overhead, and on a clear day, the sky looks endless. You can hike up to the refuge at about 16,000 feet. It's cold, it's steep, but it's absolutely worth it. If you're a serious climber, you can go all the way to the summit. But even standing near the base, staring up at this giant is something you don't forget. It's one of those places that makes you feel small in the best possible way. From Cotopaxi, the next stop has to be Quilotoa. This place looks like it belongs on a movie poster. It's a huge crater lake, bright turquoise, surrounded by steep cliffs, and completely still. The color of the water changes depending on the light and the weather, And it's honestly one of the most unreal views you'll ever see. You can hike the full rim of the crater, which takes a few hours, and gives you 360-degree views the whole time. Or, if you're feeling more chill, you can just walk down to the lake's edge. The trail is steep going back up, but locals are there with mules in case your legs tap out halfway. The village nearby is small and simple, nothing fancy, but that's kind of the charm. You're not here for luxury. You're here for that moment when you stand on the edge, the wind hits your face, and you're looking down at something that doesn't even feel real. Next up is Baños. This town is basically Ecuador's adventure playground. Surrounded by mountains, rivers, and waterfalls, Baños has a little bit of everything. You can go canyoning down waterfalls, zip-lining across valleys, mountain biking through the hills, or rafting in fast-moving rivers. But even if you're not into action sports, Baños has something for you. The town has thermal baths heated by the nearby volcano. At night, you can soak in warm mineral water under the stars, with the sound of waterfalls in the background. And of course, there's the swing. The famous swing at the end of the world is a wooden seat hanging from a treehouse, perched on a ridge with a massive drop below it. You swing out over the edge with nothing but mountains and clouds in front of you. It feels a little sketchy, but it's actually safe. And the view? Unreal. From the mountains, we shift gears and jump on a train. La Nariz del Diablo. Also known as the Devil's Nose, this is one of the most dramatic train rides on Earth. The route cuts through the Andes using a series of switchbacks, which basically means the train zigzags down a steep mountainside to handle the crazy drop in elevation. It's slow, it's old school, and it's all about the experience. You're not taking this ride to get somewhere fast. You're taking it to see the landscape, sharp cliffs, deep valleys, tiny villages. It's all right outside your window. The engineering behind it is kind of wild, too. It's a miracle this route was ever built. There's something relaxing about it, too. It's quiet. Everyone's just looking out the window, taking it all in. You'll want to put your phone down, which is kind of rare these days. Now, let's talk about Cuenca, one of the prettiest cities in Ecuador, and maybe the most livable, too. Cuenca is laid back, elegant, and full of charm. You've got colonial buildings with flower-covered balconies, cobbled streets, and churches with blue domed roofs. There are parks and plazas where people just sit and talk. There's art everywhere, street murals, galleries, local craft markets. And the food scene? Way better than you'd expect. It's one of those cities that feels instantly comfortable. It's clean, walkable, and peaceful, without ever being boring. And because of its cooler mountain climate, it stays pleasant all year. A lot of people come here for a few days and end up staying for weeks, or forever. There's a reason it's become such a hot spot for expats and remote workers. It's affordable, it's safe, and it's beautiful in that quiet, low-key way that doesn't try too hard. And now, for the last stop on this journey, Cuyabeno, deep in the Ecuadorian Amazon. This is where everything slows down. No traffic, no noise, no phone signal. You get here by road and then by boat, because the whole region is made up of rivers and flooded forest. And once you're in, you're really in. You stay in eco-lodges with no Wi-Fi, surrounded by pure nature. The days start early. You hop in a canoe and glide through the forest as the sun rises, with birds calling from every direction. You see monkeys in the trees, sloths, caimans, snakes, frogs, and if you're lucky, pink river dolphins. The guides are incredible. They know the names of everything, can imitate bird calls, and tell stories that make the forest feel alive. At night, it's just as wild. You take a canoe out in the dark and shine a flashlight on the water. Eyes reflect back. Caimans. Frogs sing in full chorus. It's quiet, but never silent. Cuyabeno is one of those rare places where you disconnect completely and somehow feel more connected than ever. No distractions, just you, the jungle, and the sound of the river. So that's Ecuador. 10 places, all completely different, packed into one small country that somehow flies under everyone's radar. You've got volcanic craters, colonial cities, remote jungle, and animals you literally won't find anywhere else. And the wildest part? You can see all of it in just a couple of weeks. If you like this video, give it a like, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe for more travel content like this.